This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this next episode of the Locksport 3D printing series. Today, I thought I'd focus on pinning trays, specifically lock pinning trays with pins. I did want to make a note in case I have viewers that are wondering. I produce all of these in black, mainly because black filament is the least expensive for me to produce these in for the purposes of these videos, which are intended to be instructional or informational in nature. And I don't want to break the bank doing this because I am producing quite a few of these for the purposes of showing different options that are out there. At some future giveaway, those that I don't wind up using personally, I will probably be giving away. So with that, I thought I'd start with the mini to small sized pinning trays. I want to point out that there are a lot of pinning tray options out there on Thingiverse alone, let alone probably several other sites that have 3D printed objects that you can download and print. So I only cover Thingiverse. Trying to cover all the other sites would just be an enormous task. But anyways, back to the pinning trays. So of the pinning trays here that I did print, one of the ones I really like a lot is this pinning tray here. It is very small, but nice tall pinning stacks that you can utilize. It does handle up to 8 stacks. It does give a little bit of space here for having parts and so forth. These are so thin and such a quick print, you could essentially do multiples of this tray in one print run and have several of these on hand for whenever you need to gut a lock. Anyways, nice tray. I like the small size of it. Next is this tray here. Now, what's significant about this is they do have these broken up storage areas for parts, and while it only handles 6 pin stacks on the way this tray is laid out anyways, I'm sure you could use it however you like and fit another stack in there, but these larger spaces at the top seem to be great for springs, and then you can put up to 4 different components of a pin stack into each one of these columns. Nice thin little tray. Is also a very quick print, and it does have a lip around the sides here to help keep things from rolling off of the tray. Next is this here with 7 pin or stacks or columns that you can use for lining up your springs and pins, and a big tray area here for parts. Now, personally, didn't really care for this for myself, but if you like this sort of thing, there is a decent lip in this little storage area to keep things from rolling off of it. It is pretty thin. You probably could produce multiples of these for yourself as well. Anyway, that. And then last, I do like this tray. 2 different areas. The pin stacks might not be as high, so depending on what you're gutting, you might have a challenge there fitting all your pins in there. I don't know. And then a space to put your cores. So nice tray, thin, didn't take long to print. And the additional thing I did with this was, all I did was take white acrylic paint and a toothpick, and I was able to get the paint into here and then wipe off anything that got on the surface. But that brought the numbers out a little bit better so they could be seen a little more. They're more apparent to see now, so you know which stack you're on. Anyways, nice tray. I probably will produce a couple more of these because I like these as well. All right, so these represent a sampling of some of the medium-sized trays, and obviously there's more of them out there. I didn't print all of everything, but these are the ones that I liked when I first saw them and decided to give them a print and check them out. Starting with this here, this tray actually is a decent tray. It only has 6 pin stacks, which, okay. And the parts area here is relatively decent size, and it does have a decent lip on it to keep things from rolling off. This is a rather thin tray. It wasn't a terribly long print, and these wells for the pins are decently or of decent depth to hold the pins and not have them get all rolling around or mixed up. So not a bad option. This one I liked a bit better in that it gives you 8 pin stacks that you can organize on this tray. It does give you a bit of a separation on the storage area, which is kind of nice, especially if you want to store your C-clip in one spot and your core in another, and whatever other parts, screws or whatever. Anyways, nice little tray. It wasn't terribly a long print, but something worth definitely considering. This here was interesting, as it did. It only has 7 pin stacks. It does have quite a bit of storage on it, and the place here to put your core isn't terrible. Not my favorite pinning tray of all of them. So anyway, last but not least, this option gives you 7 pin stacks and a lot of different areas to put your parts, like a key. You could set your core. You could even set your your follower down on here, whatever you want to do with this tray. Your actual core can sit there, and there's plenty of spots to store different things. So it's not a terribly thick tray. It didn't take terribly long, and these wells on here are of a decent depth to put your pins in and not worry about them getting mixed up. So that covers the medium-sized trays that I printed out for this video. All right, so of the larger pin trays, this is a small sampling of what's out there, but this pin tray here has 10 pin stacks. They're a decent depth, so your pins shouldn't go flying off of this or getting mixed up. It does have a couple of nice little storage areas with a decent lip on them. It is a thin tray, so a pretty decently quick print. Not as quick as the small trays, but out of all the trays I have here to show you, this is probably the quickest print of them all. Not a bad little tray to just have a 1 or 2 of around, but I do like this tray here. Now, what I like about this is the options. You could essentially do 2 different sets of pin stacks for 2 different locks. Let's say they do have 2 separated storage areas and 1 larger common, but only 1 space for a core to sit. So not quite sure what they had in mind when they were doing this to set it up for these 2 different sets of 7 stacks. But hey, it's a thin tray. Didn't take terribly long to print, and I could definitely see use for that tray. I did, by the way, try to use the same acrylic paint toothpick method on this, which didn't go quite as well as I would have liked, so I abandoned that. But just pointing out that I did attempt to do the same white lettering on this tray. It just didn't want to work out for me. But anyway, this tray I actually like. These are exceptionally deep wells. It handles 7 different either sets of pins, or you could do 7 columns for a 7 pin stack lock. Does have a place to set your core with the key and a little storage area here. It's a nice tray. I actually like this one. It did take a while to print, but it was and these numbers here stick out as opposed to being inset. So they stick out, and I will get around to eventually kind of just brushing those with some white acrylic paint to have them stand out on this tray. Last but not least, this mammoth tray, very thick, took a long time to print, but it does allow for 7 pin stacks. You can do 3 different cores on this thing. Not quite sure where you'd keep all the pins for 3 different locks at the same time, but lots of little storage areas to put things. Not for me personally. not really something I think I'll use, but 8, I printed it out so I could share this tray. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Perhaps maybe you found something of use or interest. But I want to thank you for watching. As always, if you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And thank you for watching.